Okay, sorry. We're starting over. My hair was like up on the chair, like cascading.
That's normal, babes.
Funkiness.
This is perfect. Your hair's got volume. I don't have.
I mean,
Okay, third time's charm.
all right, welcome to the Value Script. I'm your host, Lonnie Carmichael. Today we have in studio dining room table studio, that is, my lovely wife, Meredith, once again. And with her in studio, I wanted to talk about our history, why we're together, why and how it's possible for her to continue to like me after I'm continually who I am day after day to her, and how amazing she is. And some of the reasons we have been able to be married and celebrate. We have just celebrated our 23rd wedding anniversary.
Which is significant.
And that's pretty fantastic,
it's
right?
It's significant. Yeah,
23 years sounds like a decent number, but you just mentioned it's significant. Why did you mention that the way you mentioned that is significant? The number's significant, but you meant a little more than that, didn't you?
I did. We've been through some difficult things and definitely had moments where I think neither of us thought that we were going to make it and be able to stay married. And so just this our anniversary's March 13th. And so just this last celebration of being married was really, it was strong and it was powerful and meant so much to me. And I'm sure to you too, that we're doing so good. And I feel like we're finally thriving after being in survival mode for quite a while. We're doing great.
Thank you.
So, yeah,
I feel the same way. I thought this anniversary felt more significant than probably almost any other anniversary, maybe other than our first anniversary when we were starving college students and I scraped all my quarters together and I took you to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You remember that?
I do.
And we don't even think we could afford dessert that night.
Right.
And I was stressed out about how much this bill was going to cost and whether or not I had enough money to cover it. But I wanted to have a special night. I wanted to put effort into and have it be something that was memorable. But so Meredith, where does our story begin?
Okay. So we grew up together. Grew up in Buckeye, and our families have known each other for generations. I moved into your ward at church when I was 3, you were 5. And
it's been true love ever since, right?
Ever since, yeah.
That's wild how long you guys have known each other, actually.
Yeah,
Right.
it is. That's not common for sure.
No.
Right.
For sure. And I, like growing up, his mom was my young women's president. My dad was his young men's president. My grandma taught him piano.
Wait, what? So your whole family has known each other?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, they're friends. They're like,
wow.
Known each
Did
other
we tell you it was an arranged
for
marriage?
so long?
It was not.
It's about as close as you can get, though. Like I'm telling you.
Both our parents were adamantly, and it almost drove us apart, actually. Both our parents were adamant that we marry each other. Like I got home from my mission, and I've been home. I've been gone for 2 years. I come home, and within a couple weeks, I think it was the next Sunday that I was home, her dad, we had an opportunity to go do service for somebody right after our church meeting, and driving home from doing that service, he leans over and tells me, hey, just so you know, just in case you were wondering, I don't even know if this is on your radar, but just in case it is, you totally have my permission to marry my daughter.
How old are you?
I was 21.
And when this is 2 weeks after being home from his mission, like he was
I haven't
still
even
afraid
been
of
able
me.
to date, talk to girls, calling me on the phone for 2 full years.
Where was your mission?
Seattle, Washington.
Oh, okay.
Seattle,
And
Washington.
I was at going to school at Eastern Arizona College, and his parents would call me because I was dating somebody else, and they're like, why are you dating that boy? Like, he's about to come home from his mission. And my roommates are like, it's those people that want you to marry their son. So,
well, and how did that work for you? So my parents called because they were trying to be protective of their interests, selfishly, really. And how did that work? Was that effective, or was that ineffective?
Well, it was hard, honestly. Like I think everyone was pushing so much that it made it feel like, okay, wait a minute, like we can make this choice.
Like it wasn't natural.
We can figure it out, and we did. And
my mom sent me a letter, and she was like, Meredith's about to marry some other boy. You need to write her. and really, the way the mission rules worked at the time, we were only able to call home for Christmas and Mother's Day. So
did you say write you a letter? She wrote you a letter?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
So we really couldn't speak on the phone, and we didn't have email. It was pre-email. And so the only way to communicate was writing letters.
Sent you a page?
So yeah. So once a week I'd write letters home. We had our preparation day. So we do our laundry and do grocery shopping and all the other things that we didn't normally do on the days when we were out proselyting or doing the service.
Gotcha.
But so Mondays were our preparation day. And so then you would take time to write letters. And my mom sends me this letter, you need to write Meredith a letter. And I'm like, so I started to get this sense of, I'm not here, I'm not in contact with anybody, but I kind of started to get a sense, and I really feel like it was from God. He helped me feel kind of what the landscape was, that Meredith was under a lot of pressure to basically wait until I got home to not pursue a relationship that she was pursuing. And she felt conflicted from both sides because her family wanted her to marry me and my family wanted me to marry her. And really we weren't even in the same state and hadn't been for the last 2 years. And so Meredith was away at college and she had a relationship that was
it was great.
It was good.
It was a good relationship. There was no negative there. And
he'd ask you to marry him multiple times.
Yeah.
And I got this sense of in the letter, well, what did I write and how did it work?
Oh, it was just very supportive in the fact that like you're going to make the right decision. And you're the only one that can pray about it and receive answers for yourself. And I have every confidence that you'll do that and it'll work out. Whatever's supposed to happen is going to work out.
And I wrote it objectively. It wasn't like you're going to be able to pray and know you need to marry me. That wasn't what I was saying. I knew that's the pressure she was feeling, even from the guy that she was dating. And in fact that he had just prayed and like, God told me you're supposed to be my wife. You just haven't gotten the answer yet. Keep praying. You'll get it. And I knew that she was kind of going through those things. And I just said, look, I have faith that God's going to help us. Like if we're supposed to be married, we'll be married. And if you're supposed to marry somebody else, he'll help you know that. And the only person that can get that revelation from God for your life is you. And so which was
genius, by the way, because then I was like, oh, he's so wonderful. Oh my gosh, that was so amazing. It was great because everybody.
Do you still have this letter?
I have all the letters.
All the letters.
I saved in order.
She wasn't binders. A stalker before. No,
no, I really kind of was. Like I don't know. I was a little bit obsessed.
So you still have the letters though?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
All the letters, which is really neat. My parents did the same
frame the
thing.
first one,
right? I know totally. My parents wrote letters back and forth when my dad was serving his mission, and my mom saved all the letters. And so, anyways, that's kind of neat. But anyway, So got married.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of felt the same pressure and it was stressful. It's like, I needed to be focusing on the work I was doing and what I was being a missionary. I didn't need to be focused on home, girls, and Meredith, her relationship drama, and all that stuff. I kind of felt the same thing. Like I can't put energy into this right now. I'm just going to have faith that it's in God's hands. It's going to work out the way it should. And if I come home and she's married to somebody else, I wasn't supposed to marry her, and it'll work great. And when I got off the plane, she was the first person I saw.
Really?
Yeah. And the next day was Thanksgiving. And then the next day after that was, I was on a tractor for 12 hours and she was too. She came and rode with me. And we spent pretty much every day together until you went back to college.
I went back just until Christmas breaks. It was just a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, and then came back and,
growing up, I just want to, so you came back. I guess we should finish that thought. You came back from college for Christmas break, and I thought, okay, I really like this girl. She's phenomenal. She's somebody I've always considered as wife material, for lack of a better term. And I know that she had pressure to marry somebody else, and I didn't want to lose her because I just wanted to make sure that I expressed to her how I felt. So I went and bought a ring, and I proposed 23 days after I would go home from my mission. I always swore I would never be that guy. But growing up, Meredith was a type of person that never compromised her standards to gain popularity and or to fit in. And because of that, she spent some time alone in high school. It was really kind of a hard time for her. She didn't have a lot of friends. She wouldn't go to parties because she had standards that prevented her from doing that. But and then she also had a lot of responsibility at home. She had 5 siblings.
Wow.
5 siblings. Her youngest has a cardiac issue that spent a lot of time in the hospital, a lot of surgeries, almost didn't make it through multiple, early life events.
That's another episode.
And her parents spent a lot of time with that, and so Meredith had to mother and parents a lot of her siblings. And in fact, the sibling that we talked about in the past episode about how amazing she's done in her professional life, you largely raised her through a lot of her formative years. And I observed that and I thought, I want to marry somebody like Meredith. It may not be Meredith. I want to marry somebody that's like her someday because she's an amazing woman. She's going to be an amazing mother. She's going to be an amazing wife.
So you were seeing the qualities from a distance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we, just because we knew each other since I was 5 and she was 3, and that's 39 years that I've known you. It's just crazy, huh?
Crazy.
We didn't date much.
We went out a couple of times, but we were never together, like seriously dating.
Yeah.
She asked me to winter formal my senior year. My girlfriend of 3 years dumped me over that.
It's fabulous.
Because I went with Meredith to winter formal. It was a growing experience for me. That could be another podcast episode, but that was a time of reflection, and it wasn't necessarily. It was a time of reflection and growth. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, Meredith was available. We got married. I asked her to marry me, and she said yes.
How old were you guys?
I was 21.
Okay.
19.
Yeah.
We were too young, probably.
Yeah, we were young. And at the time, like, we'd known each other our whole lives. It wasn't like we didn't even, we knew extended family. It's not like there's things we didn't know or didn't truly know each other, but we didn't realize how young we were and how immature we were and just life experience that we didn't have to be able to navigate marriage.
So now today, looking back on it, now that you have kids of your own, are you guys against getting married that young?
I would definitely say we encourage to wait to even if you do know each other, even like there's
not against it, but just like you know what I mean?
I was going to say, I don't know that there is an ideal age,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it really, there's opportunity costs on each side of that. You get married young, you get married later. There's opportunity costs for both of those decisions. I think in my own personal experience, I was a little emotionally immature and didn't know that. I thought I was the man. I thought I was going to conquer the world, right?
Yeah.
And then life has a way of humbling you and teaching you things and
starting with the winter formal.
Starting with the winter formal. and so I've realized that I wish I would have had more emotional maturity when we were in our early married years, and we started having children fairly young as well. And as a young father, trying to put ourselves through dental school, I say ourselves because Meredith helped with every step of that. Meredith taught piano lessons privately and professionally while we were at Arizona State, and I was finishing up my undergraduate work to be able to get into dental school. When we moved to Colorado to go to dental school, she continued to teach piano and helped continue to support our family financially that way. And that was a phenomenal help. But I wanted to wait to have kids a little longer than we did. And because I knew it'd be stressful.
When did you have your first kid?
10 million years of school to go through. Our first kid was 2002. I think I was 20. I was 25. Okay. I was in my first year of dental school.
So that's pretty young to have your first kid.
And 25 is not necessarily crazy young. You were what? What did you say you were, 23? You were 23.
I think my mom was 19, 20 years old when she had my brother. Right.
But just for the situation, man, I was in the middle of gross anatomy and all my heavy didactic course book work for dental schools and is front loaded into the first 2 years. And we just moved to Colorado. We were pregnant with Macy and I had started dental school. We had no family there. We didn't really know anybody. We're, strangers in the area. Meredith goes into preterm labor at 34 weeks. And it was a ride.
Yeah, it was.
I would I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go to dental school, I'd come home, I'd come home, grab some stuff, I'd go to the hospital, I'd sleep and study and everything in the hospital, and then I'd go to dental school. And it was like that was our life for a few weeks.
For 2 weeks.
We thought we were going to have a preemie baby. We met the neonatal intensive care unit nurses. The doctors are like, you're going to have a 34-week-old child. They probably won't be able to eat on their own. They probably won't be able to breathe on their own. This is what you're going to expect. And somehow we didn't have her for 2 more weeks.
And she was healthy and perfect.
Wow. I was going to say, Macy came and she was perfect. That's exactly what I was going to say. And she is still to this day.
She is.
In her own special way.
Being a person from the outside looking in, it really shows that every single person goes through something.
Right.
So listeners and viewers out there just know that they're like not alone going through whatever they're going through.
Right.
Yeah.
And with that, from Macy's thing, we had health insurance issues. We had bills we couldn't pay. I was making no income. I was a starving dental student, taking out student loans. We had tens of thousands of dollars of hospital bills because the insurance got sideways, and it was a big mess.
Yeah.
It was, but looking back, that doesn't seem to be that big a deal. Right.
Goodness. Yeah.
But going through it, it was a mountain to move. Right. The perspective, fast forward though, we have 7 kids. Well, we have 5 girls, 2 boys. Addison's 17, Brecken's 14, Leighton is 11, London's 10, we already have Brecken's. Paisley's
7.
I need to look like I know all the names, babe, and the
right.
dates. I'm winning the Good Husband of the Year award right now. Come on, let me struggle with this for a second. No,
Lifting your notes real quick.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to make the brain work a little bit. Paisley just turned 7 and Briggs 4. Yeah. Fantastic.
Now, you brought up in the last episode, though, you had thought that you had the perfect marriage in a sense.
Yeah.
How far into the marriage did you guys, I'm not saying you didn't have struggles at any point before that, but when did it really hit hard?
So that's funny. That's a question as we've done reflection. We've been through counseling for the last 3 years, pretty consistently. And done a ton of reflection trying to figure out how did we get to where it was so bad.
Yeah.
And how do we not and again, with the idea in mind, the reason we were reflecting upon that isn't to stay stuck there, but to take the opportunity to learn, how do we not go back there and how do we get out of there?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the answer is different for both of us. I think for me, it started at a different time than it did for you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, for sure. And as we've gone through counseling and talked so much, and we've realized a lot of the breakdown came early on from not communicating. And we didn't even realize, that's the thing that's so hard. We didn't necessarily realize how each of us were feeling about different things that were hard.
I'd say I totally. I think you're exactly right. Not only were we not on the same page and understanding what the other was feeling like, but wasn't even in our mindset to realize that. And what we also learned and didn't know was how impactful your childhood is in your marriage relationships and in all your relationships, and how impactful your childhood is in your development and the expression of who you become as a person. And if you had trauma, sexual abuse, if you had, maybe you had the best parents in the world, all of those situations play into how you perceive the world and what your brain thinks and what things trigger you into an emotional state of not being able to think clearly. And I think I had a background, that there was a little bit of abuse, not by my parents, just so nobody has to wonder. It was not my parents. But there was some abuse there, and my parents did the absolute best job raising me as I feel like they knew how to do. And I love them very much and I'm very grateful for them. And we have a phenomenal relationship with them, but, there was a little bit of trauma, and just the way that my perfectly imperfect parents even handled some things was triggering, and they didn't know any better. My mom, lost her father when she was 8 years old in a car accident, and her mom she had these 2 girls to raise, no provider any longer. She became an alcoholic. My grandma became an alcoholic, and a chain smoker. And that affected my mom significantly. And she is a survivor. She's a warrior to me, because rather than carrying on the generational curse, she sought good in her life. She gravitated towards the church, and her faith helped sustain her through some ridiculously bad, hard times. And she has turned out phenomenally well. My dad was raised by a phenomenal man that had no idea how to express love. And one of the things when he got married, he asked my mom, I need you to teach me how to express love. I want my kids to know that I love them. And one of the things he shared with me about his dad was that he was a good man, and he was loved by his father, but his father only told him he was proud of him and that he loved him one time that he can remember significantly. And it was when he left on his mission, and he was leaving for the language training center, and his dad told him he was proud of him and he loved him in that moment. And he said, I'd always knew that he loved me, but that was significant to finally hear it, but I never wanted you to wonder. And so my dad made a point to tell me that every day. And that's something that we try to do in our own relationship. Getting back to the question though, around 2013 became difficult for me. And that was also, it's been stressful professional, for me. And then, I started getting cues in our relationship that led me down a negative mental path around that time. And, they were messages and cues Meredith never intended to send. But ultimately, I just felt as though I wasn't as regarded as I wanted to be. And so, I even started taking steps to better myself. So I thought, well, maybe if I wasn't fat and bald, and I can't change one of those things, so maybe I need to lose some weight, right? I can't grow hair, but maybe I'll lose weight. So I went on a keto diet, and I lost about 50 pounds. I started working out, lifting weights, and becoming more attractive, surprisingly, or not surprisingly, did not help things, right? It didn't fix the problem.
And really, I think largely because I really didn't recognize that there was a problem. We would certainly have talks and things and arguments, for lack of a better word, where, things would get heated, and I would realize like he's not necessarily happy right now, but I kind of always attributed it to the stress of the moment, not necessarily a foundational crack in our relationship, or that you were not feeling regarded or loved, or that I was into you, or, things like that. And so the perception that you had, because of our, lack of communication, I didn't realize how significant that was. And so that was the beginning, I think, of things getting more distant, maybe is a good term. I don't know.
Meredith, with that in mind, looking at the clock, we don't have enough time to go through the rest of this. So we're going to have to continue this on another episode. So stay tuned for the next episode of The Value Script.